right, good evening. Welcome to Back to School Night. We are so excited to kick off the 2025-2026 school year. Every single year we have an institutional theme that guides a lot of the supplemental programs, projects, and things that we do. This year's theme is to lean into our motto of leave it better than you found it. When we kicked off this school year, the faculty and staff spend a day at an offsite doing a retreat, talking about our strategic plan, our big vision, our small vision. It's tactical, it's inspirational, and we talk deeply about what does leave it better than you found it mean to us. And in summary, at Sea Crest, leaving it better than you found it means noticing what's around you, whether a space, a moment, or a person, and acting with care, presence, and kindness to make it just a little bit better for the next person. This theme of leave it better than you found it, you'll hear and see a lot in the community events that we're doing, in writing, in different programs and projects throughout the year. And so we encourage you to join us in all the different ways we as a Sea Crest community can leave it just a little bit better than we found it. Before we dive into a few slides and a little bit of information, I want to take a pause and acknowledge what makes Sea Crest so amazing. It is your fabulous students, of course, but it is also this incredible, unique group of adults that choose to spend their entire professional life with our children. And whether they are spending our lives with 4-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 14-year-olds, through that journey, they have chosen that as a passion. And every single day, they bring that passion and that heart to our classrooms, and we could not be more lucky. So please give a huge round of applause to our fabulous faculty and staff. A brief reminder is that we are in our second year of our strategic plan that we unveiled. And as you can see, our strategic plan has 4 different directionalities. And we have different compass groups that have launched different initiatives every year. Every year we will continue to launch new initiatives. Last year we launched our alumni program. This year, just last week, we launched our student house program. And next year we will launch our place-based, project-based learning that you'll find a little bit more about. It was a very exciting assembly. A group of admin and teachers spent the entire summer planning to how do we take 360 people and sort them in 50 minutes. That was the project. And they spent a whole summer developing that. But so you know, the year before that, the team went off on a quest to do academic research around houses. So they read research papers on the history of houses. They visited other peer schools that have houses and designed this really phenomenal program. And we'll unveil a lot more in the coming weeks and months about the program. But one story I just really wanted to highlight. Last Friday, no one in the room really knew what was going to happen. There was a few of us. Teachers had an idea. They didn't know what house they were going to be in. But I was looking through this fabulous set of photos that Mr. Gianella, our resident photographer, took. And this photo completely stood out to me, and I want to tell you why. Only our wizard, who shall remain unanimous, to try to figure it out based on height of our faculty and staff, is the only one in this photo that had any idea not only what was happening, but what the expectation was, what this was all about. But instinctually, all of our 8th graders who were called up first put on their shirts and then gathered towards the stage to find out who the JKers, what house they were going to be in. We didn't tell them to do that. They had no idea this was going to happen. We haven't unveiled who their buddies were. And if you sat in the audience, you watched all of these 14-year-olds walk up and just keep taking the younger kids, all the grades up. back to their houses. And then if you could notice in the corner, there were kids of all grades high-fiving, getting to know them. I couldn't have orchestrated that. Our teachers could have said, you have to, like, go do it. But that's not what happened. Our community, our culture, our values, and our expectations of how we interact with each other and what it means to be an 8th grader and model, especially for the kids in this photo that remember being that age and remember that at some point some older kid walked over to them and said, oh, here, come over here, is part of the fabric of Sea Crest. And it's a photo that I am gonna print out and keep above my desk to remind me that this is what Leave It Better Than You Found It is. It's a small, minor act. It doesn't require direction. This entire group of faculty and staff helped to curate it, but the actual moment of those kids making that choice was completely on their own. We always talk a little bit about what makes Sea Crest special, but another thing that's really an important value to us is the connection between you as the families at home and us here at school. So a few things that we've been talking about as a collective group of educators that we wanted to share with you. It's a really interesting time to be a teacher. It's a really interesting time to be in education. And it's a really interesting and complex time to be a parent. The world is changing at an insane rate. Technology and expectations are beyond us. We are trying to catch up as quickly as we can to our own kids. And we've been talking about how are the ways that we can set our kids up for success here in the classroom. And if we could say one thing collectively to the families at home, what would that be? And the next few slides are some of those things. So the first thing is this idea that studies have shown that 45% of everything we do in the whole day is a habit. And at some point you could look at that and think, that's really depressing. It doesn't matter if it's your cell phone that goes off at 5:30 or like a really fancy like hatch that like plays you ping-pongy music. It's still the grind of 5:30. But nestled within those habits and that routine is a sense of stability. It's a sense of calm. It also provides the backdrop for our kids to be vulnerable, to be in the moment, to know what to expect. And so we're talking a lot with your children about habits. What kind of habits can we have that are routines? And if you've already gone to sessions or you're gonna go to sessions after, you'll hear so much about the power of classroom routine and set expectations. So we really challenge all of us as teachers and you as families to think about what is that habit that your kid wants to independently do this year. Is it really awful when you find that lunchbox, sitting on the floor the next day with like the rotted sandwich? Is that your trigger? Then manipulate that that's your kid's habit, that they're gonna take it and they're gonna empty it. Or is it that you want them to walk down the street all by themselves, and that's a habit that they can grow? So we really encourage to have a conversation with your child about habits, what they hope to establish this school year. What are they hoping to do? And we're gonna do the same within the classroom. The other thing, this is a reminder that we give every year, you can do so much research from world-renowned child psychologists around the dreaded, how was your day? The second they get in the car. I don't know about you, but there are plenty of days that I pull into my driveway, I may be gripping the steering wheel, maybe the news is on, maybe it was just a day, and I need to take a collective adult breath before I take all of my day and just vomit it on my family the second I walk in. Our kids feel the same way. Afternoon restraint collapse means that they've held it together all day. Whatever it is they're holding together. It doesn't mean that they're like restrained here at school. It just means they're showing up in a way amongst their peers. They're being challenged academically. They're being challenged socially, and they get in their car. Don't ask them how their day was, because they will just vomit positive, negatives, anything. It'd be like if your spouse, if you had the hardest day and your spouse walked in and just was like, how was your day? Tell me everything, and you just need a moment. So feed your kid. The second you pick them up, just hand them food. Don't ask them how their day was, just get some food in their mouth, distraction, activity. And then at night, the biggest ask we have is at night, I don't know about you, my kids love to use procrastination to tell me all of the ailments, the wrong, unjust things that happen during that recess that I should solve so that they don't have to go to sleep. Listen and say, oh, I'm really excited for you to solve that tomorrow. Don't ever offer to call and say you'll make sure that ball gets to them, or you'll make sure their snack is something that they like better, even though they told you that was the snack they like. Let it go and let them try to solve it. So we're all working together on the how was your day. The last little thing we've been talking about as an entire faculty and staff is this idea of happiness. It's kind of hard to think about happiness right now. It's really complex times. It's very stressful times. What's really cool about kids is they're really innately happy. What's really interesting about kids, and you've probably all had this experience, is that true happiness that they experience and that they show from us is rarely has anything to do with us. I will never forget the day that we surprised, my husband and I surprised our child, and we said, we're going to Disneyland. And they cried because they thought they were going to the park that day. And we tried to articulate why this was such a better thing, but that unknown completely collapsed and ruined. The idea that happiness comes from resiliency and the learning space is really interesting. This concept is the concept that a child's true happiness is shooting the basket and making it at the right time in front of their peers that they've independently worked so hard on. Or being called on in class and raising their hand and feeling like they knew the answer. Making their friend laugh is a true, deep happiness that they feel. What's crazy is most of our childhood memories of happiness aren't really things that the adults did, aren't really things that the parents did. It's within that growth and something they worked really hard for that gave them that true sense of pride and happiness. This idea of the learning space is fascinating, and it's really interesting because this is a new thing this is not new, let me just tell you that. The way it's being articulated is new, that is coming out right now that really resonates with us as a faculty and staff. The idea behind the learning space is that it's between this moment of not knowing and knowing something. And you could equate that to algebra. You could say, I come in and I don't really know algebra, and through like the guidance of these fabulous teachers, I learn algebra. But you can also equate that to, my friend kind of hurt my feelings yesterday. I don't really know what to do about it. And the next day I kind of figured it out and I felt different. Or I don't really know how to navigate the feeling of being nervous, but like still wanting to go on outdoor ed. Or all of those things that we have. It is very logical to me that the learning space is this crazy line. This is childhood, this is life. Also that resiliency builds up within the amount of time you spend in the learning space. It's the hardest thing I find as a parent is to not want to squish the learning space. One of our oldest son this summer really wanted to learn to cook, and I did not enjoy that experience. Every dish is being used in the wrong way. It's a mess. It's taking hours. It's like 9 o'clock at night and like nothing is done. And I was so tempted to like squish that learning space. Like I just wanted us to be efficient. This was just too much work. But if I squished the learning space, he wouldn't be really proud or happy of the meal. It doesn't really work that way. And that's our biggest challenge as educators, is to create this learning space where each kid is finding that push and pull of their own resiliency to get that own happiness and be somewhat effective, because at some point the bell rings, we gotta go to lunch. And so we know that your teachers are all working through this learning space. And we as educators spend our whole lives thinking about the linear line in the bottom. How we introduce a student from not knowing and help them to independently get to knowing and being that safe foundation for them to go through the ups and downs. We can curate those experiences, and because we're this magical, amazing private Sea Crest school, we have all these opportunities for amazing learning spaces, but most likely your child's true learning and happiness is going to happen on the average Wednesday, in the average class, where they haven't been confident to raise their hand, and that teacher knows, oh, I kind of see that they're into it. They look them in the eye and they say, do you want to answer? And that's that magic moment that happens for all of us in our classrooms. We've been talking also a lot about behavior and expectations. This year we're using this motto, clear is kind. We're talking a lot about all feelings are welcome and all behaviors aren't welcome. And that's really interesting in today's current world, because feelings and behaviors are very intermixed right now, where actions are really motivated by feelings, whether they're long feelings or deep feelings or immediate feelings in the moment. And so we've been talking as a faculty and staff a lot, and we're going to be talking with their children a lot, that we welcome all your feelings. We want you to have all your feelings. Feelings are so important, but we don't put feelings over our actions and behaviors. And in your classrooms with your teachers, they're going to talk a little bit more about how practically they are rolling that out with your children. A few reminders of communication norms. Always go to your teacher first. They know your kid, they love your kid, they most likely will have the answer. Patients during the school day, they're super focused on the kids, so if you send an email at 10, they probably won't see it until well after school. We really encourage our older children to take the lead. You'll hear this a lot if you're in upper school. They know their teachers, they can email their teachers. That's really an important quality and skill we want them to stretch and develop. Always perspective. What they come home and say, the horrific, horrible, awful, no good, very bad thing that they say happened at school, probably has a lot of feels mixed in. We give all the perspective. The things that your children say at morning meeting that happened on the way to school and in the morning and over dinner, we put perspective over all of that. So we're asking for a mutual perspective, a relationship. Also, always go to the person who can solve the problem. It's almost always the school. This last one is really interesting. At the end of every year, we send out a school survey. And one of the requests from many of you was to please tell families to be positive in the WhatsApp chat. Now, I personally am not in the WhatsApp chat, and neither is any of my staff, but I am perfectly fine standing up here and saying, please be positive in the WhatsApp chat. Remember, there are brand new families at our school. Do you have some shit talking to do about us? Absolutely. That is normal. We do it too, about you. We just don't put it in writing for everyone to see. So the request is to find your people, set up a small, text thread, and talk all the shit you want, but don't broadcast it to the whole class, because it makes some people uncomfortable. Okay, with that, we are going to excuse our teachers who are going to go get ready. You are not excused yet. We have a few save the dates and reminders and things like that, but we're going to excuse our teachers to go get ready for the next session. So thank you, teachers. And I'm thrilled to introduce Rob Schaefer. He is our new Director of Development, and he has a few words to share with you.
Thanks, Lauren. She's a tough act to follow, so bear with me. So for those of you I haven't met, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Rob Schaefer, and I'm the proud parent of a 6th grader here at Sea Crest now. I'm also the director of development, and in different industries, development means different things. In a small nonprofit school, that equates to fundraising. Let's see. I'm the one who leads the fundraising efforts, but I couldn't do it without a team of people. And I want to introduce someone who's recently volunteered to take on the role of the 25-26 Annual Fund Chairman. This is Greg Gladman. I'd like to welcome to the stage.
As Rob says, my name is Greg Gladman. I'm a Sea Crest parent. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and this year, as Rob says, I'm volunteering to chair the Annual Fund Committee for the board. I've got 2 Sea Crest daughters. One is in 7th grade this year and has been here since she's in kindergarten. The other started kindergarten in 2013, and surprisingly, this year started her senior year at Notre Dame. Not sure how that happened, but here we are. So that means this is my 13th back to school night. It's kind of funny to look back and see myself sitting here 13 years ago as a new kindergarten parent, hearing all about Sea Crest, and it also makes me think about the changes that have happened over that time and how the school has grown. In fact, last night I asked my older daughter to pick one thing that she could think of that's changed since her time here at Sea Crest. And as only teenagers can do indignantly, she said, "I wish there was a treehouse when I was here. I wish I could have had a treehouse." If you're a teenage parent, you can put the tone in there, you can imagine. But it did make me think, and I told her that there was a decade before you of people who put in hard work and contribution and generosity to make Sea Crest what it was when you were here. Anything from starting an independent school in the first place to staffing, building the curriculum, building the facilities. And that all went into her experience as a Sea Crest student. And it just was one example of how Sea Crest, an institution like Sea Crest, is more than just the students that are here today, the family and the community that are here today, the teachers and the staff. But it's a legacy that is everything that came before it, the contributions of everyone before, and goes on to the future. So for me, that's one of the biggest reasons for contributing to the annual fund. It's because we're now the generation that carries that legacy forward and has that responsibility to make sure that the school has the resources and the ability to react to whatever life throws at us. And certainly life has thrown some things at us in the past few years. So again, that's one of the reasons it calls out to me for donating. Rob will go through some of the other ways that you can donate. If there's one that calls out to you, ask you to donate as well. As Rob will talk, we're talking about trying to get 100% participation. I know we can do that. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Rob or to me, or to any of the class agent parents that will be contributing. I'm sure you'll hear from all of us. So thanks so much, and here's to a great school year.
So I've been in this a lot. I've been in this industry a lot, fundraising over 20 years. And so I'm ultimately always asked the question, why? Like, why do you need money? Why does Sea Crest need philanthropic gifts? I already paid tuition. It's an excellent line of questioning, and the answer is that tuition covers only the essential aspects of our programs. Fundraising elevates the learning experiences higher. Think of the programs and spaces around the school that you love, that touch you, that caught your eye when you first came to Sea Crest. Almost all of them were impacted by philanthropic dollars. Recently, the National Association of Independent Schools came out with a research report that showed that what donors want when they give their money to an organization like Sea Crest is 3 different jobs to be done. One is to preserve the past and show honor for that legacy that Greg spoke about. The second, which is deeply personal, is to enhance today. So your gift would enhance the education of all the children currently attending Sea Crest. And then for the forward-thinking folks who want to invest in Sea Crest, they're thinking about the future. So they're trying to secure tomorrow. Essentially, this last job, Secure Tomorrow, speaks to what Lauren said earlier in her presentation, which is this is a way, philanthropically, to leave it better than you found it. Okay, my pointer's not working, there we go. So Sea Crest is already a good school, there's no doubt about it, but philanthropy allows Sea Crest to fully live its mission and enrich every student's educational experience. The every student part is very important. It shows that we're about a community. And I chose these pictures because I love them. They show us what's happening at Sea Crest in different spaces or programs that philanthropy funded. And as Lauren spoke about earlier, this is the kids learning together. You notice there's no educators in these pictures. But there's outdoor education on the left, and then we have the tree house, and then we have, I believe this is marine sciences, both these pictures on the right. Okay, so this year with the annual fund, we're asking for 5 different areas essentially. And it's like a menu where you can choose something that appeals more to you. So this year we'll have the Fund a Need, which has formerly been called Raise the Paddle, but this is going to be about teacher training. And I'll speak to that in just a second because it's about project-based learning, which is a very important thing for the school as we undertake this moving forward. We also have our Scholars Program and flexible tuition, which are kind of interrelated. We have enrichment, which I'll speak to at more detail later. And we have the unrestricted fund, which is wherever the school needs it most. This allows us to have flexibility, the leadership to have some flexibility if a crisis, if we find a crisis during the course of the school year that needs a reaction. Okay, so the first bucket we talked about is Fund a Need. That's the project-based learning I mentioned. You're going to hear a lot more about this in the future, but project-based learning basically is an interdisciplinary approach to learning where students will work on projects, pretty intensive projects, and these projects will develop the skills of critical thinking, problem solving, and social skills like empathy, communication, and kindness. So this morning, I was reading in the San Jose Mercury News about the current state of education in our country, and the U.S. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, said, and I'm quoting her from the news article, "If America is going to remain globally competitive, students must be able to read proficiently, think critically, and graduate equipped to solve complex problems." So that is what project-based learning is going to help us do. Another way to think about project-based learning is the picture I have up here. We've been doing this for a couple of years at Sea Crest now, but this is our farmers market, first grade farmers market. For those of you who have participated, I think you probably have a fond memory of it. I know the kids do. So one morning in the middle of the week, they set up tables out here on the blacktop and they sold things. Different tables sold different things. This particular table was selling fruits and vegetables. This is project-based learning. There's multiple aspects of what they were doing here that they were learning about as a project. And what we want to do is we want to take this and replicate it throughout the entire school. Okay, the second thing we're raising money for is to celebrate diversity and belonging. And we have a program here that provides full ride scholarships for a small group of upper school students. The second option for this is an investment in our community, essentially. As well as the Sea Crest community, as well as the coastside community. And because of this program, it makes Sea Crest richer, because we have students that are deserving of this kind of an education coming in and offering some different perspectives sometimes to the current student body. Relatedly, we have flexible tuition. That makes access to our school possible for more coastside families. And like scholars, these are great students who are deserving of a Sea Crest education, and they enrich our community here. Fourth area that we're raising money for is enrichment. This is an area that basically I spoke to earlier, which is the different things you've seen around Sea Crest that you love. So this is going to include art, music, theater, Spanish, library, PE, marine sciences, and the iLab programs of tech and makers that you see here in this picture. And then finally, the fifth option for our annual fund is the unrestricted option. And again, as I spoke to earlier, that provides the leadership flexibility to meet the needs as things change and arise. Last year, we had 93% family participation. This is kind of my high-level KPIs here. This year, We have 100% board participation, and we have 100% faculty and staff participation. We want to set an example and be leaders. And although it's aggressive, my target is for 100% family participation. And the key takeaway that I want from this for this whole room is that sometimes the size of the gift can be small, and that's okay. We really want just everybody to participate and be an investor in this community together. Okay? These bullet points are pretty self-explanatory. Sea Crest is a community, and we need all members of the community to participate. So thank you for your attention, and I'm going to turn the presentation over to Leslie Karboff and Haley Kupek, and they're our new Family Association Board co-chairs.
Hi everyone, I'm Haley Kupek. I have James, who is a kindergartner in Mr. Bowling's class, and I have Alice. Yes, that's where we are. And I have Alice, who's 3 years old, who you will see here a lot, and I have Quincy, my niece, that's in 2nd grade.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm the I'm like bumping her over up here. I'm the mom to Ava in kindergarten and Ella in 3rd grade, and we're here to talk to you about the Family Association Board. So, just to quickly summarize who we are all members of the Family Association. So, congratulations, all. But this group of people. We exist as the executive committee to help drive what we do here. And what we do here is we help to provide kind of a relationship between the school and the students and parent community, family community, to provide like the icing on the cake type of events. Things like the Halloween Carnival and the Sweetheart Dance, the community family movie nights that we do, the spaghetti dinner, which we assist with, the end of the year carnival, which we assist with. They happen because of us, because of the Family Association. And how do we do that? Well, we fundraise in 2 ways. One is by selling beer and wine. Many of you helped us out with that and purchased some alcohol last week at the spaghetti dinner. Thank you, you did it for the kids. And we also have a parking lot fundraiser for Pumpkin Fest. Our super amazing Dad's Club, Alex and Strider, help with that and also help with building community. But honestly, we're not just here to ask for your time or your money. We're here to really, truly focus on building a community of families who can come together and rely on each other and have fun. And also give you a way to fulfill those 20 honorable hours that we are all asked to give as Sea Crest families. So, go right ahead.
Feel free to come chat with us. Me and Leslie, we're happy to hear your ideas, or if you want to help us, we are happy to have help.
Yeah, and we do have a mixer next Wednesday at San Benito House. Come, we have some light apps. Let your kids play, have dinner, talk about something that's not K-pop Demon Hunters, or maybe that's just my house. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming up. There'll be a newsletter coming out next week to let you know how you can participate or just join us to have some coffee before assemblies. And yeah, thank you so much. We're looking forward to a great year. All right, a few quick save the dates before we head out. This year's dream theme is Nashville Nights and Rodeo Lights. All right. An interesting factoid is this is my 6th year as head of school, and last year was the first costume party situation, and I didn't know how much you love to dress up in coordinated outfits that you invest clearly time and money into, and come to your kids' elementary school gym. So we're gonna do it again because you really liked it, and that was great. This year is going to be a little bit different. As Rob mentioned, there is no fund a need or paddle race, so it's really focused on parent and community and not necessarily a fundraiser. So I'm sure you will hear lots about Nashville Nights and Rodeo Lights. We have 2 save the dates that are extensions of back to school night, because the reality is we can only get so much information in tonight. Something new that we're doing this year is we are having evenings that are focused on specific aspects of our curriculum so we can dive in a little bit deeper. Our first is on October 9th. There is going to be childcare offered, there's refreshments and snacks, and it's all about literacy and what the reading and writing arc is from JK all the way till 8th grade. So it's an opportunity to dive in a little bit deeper. In second semester, there will be a science one. I'm assuming next year we'll go to math, and we will rotate them through because there's so much that any teacher could talk about, but there's just so little time to get it all in. The second one is for 2nd through 8th grade families. We are offering a little workshop. We'll also record it and send it out. The literacy night is like an interactive throughout the school thing, but the MAP workshop is, the MAP growth assessment is what we use to do standardized assessments. It's one tool that we use throughout our secondary and upper school, and so it's an opportunity to understand why we use that assessment, how to digest that assessment, and this is the week before conferences where you'll get your child's MAP score. So it's a way to kind of unpack it a little bit, and like I said, we'll also send it out. In one of our many, many efforts of Leave It Better Than You Found It, a big push, I'm looking at Kate Dickey over there in the corner, is we are doing a swap. We did a swap this summer. We're doing a Halloween swap. So the idea is that sometime, at some point, you either were really prepared and you bought a ridiculously expensive costume with matching pieces for your child, or you were a last-minute Amazon orderer, but I don't know about you, some kids just really refuse to be a pumpkin 8 years in a row, so you have a bin of all these costumes are sitting there, and in an effort to really reduce that, we are doing a costume swap. So all next week, Ms. Dickey, with combination with our upper school leadership, is collecting costumes. They'll be on the stage, and then the next week you can come shop the swap. With the idea is that you can find that amazing next costume that someone invested last year, and we could try to lighten the load and lighten the impact. Finally, Friday, September 26th is our bike and roll. I will be sending out a little project for all of you. If anyone has had any moment where we've talked about accessible, I'm locking eyes with some of you, accessible routes to school, I am extremely frustrated with, I'm using this moment, with the city of Half Moon Bay and our accessible routes to school. We start bike paths that end in fields and they don't make it all the way down. We don't have crosswalks. It's ridiculous. So don't worry, I put all of my energy on the Department of Transportation with San Mateo County. They know me by name. But we will be doing our safe routes to school, but this year we're going to be also asking for feedback from your house of areas that we're going to be giving to Caltrans to help get some safer routes to school. So know that there's going to be one more step past just safe routes to school this year. We always have a coffee parent series. Our next one will be coming up in October. Thank you for everyone that came this Wednesday. We'll be sending that out. Okay. Thank you so much. Go to your people.